There's a story in Neil Gaiman's The Sandman series that I'm particularly fond of. And it's a centuries-spanning story. It starts off in Chaucer's England, where a young man is in a tavern named Hob, who is talking about what he could do if he never died. And it just so happens that while he's saying it in this tavern, two entities, death and dream, are there listening to him. And so an agreement is made. Death will not touch Hob, and he in turn will meet with dream once every 100 years in the same spot. And one of the interesting tidbits in this story is actually in the background. Because around them in this tavern, all the way back in Chaucer's day, all around them are conversations. Conversations about how morals are declining, how all the politicians are making dumb and stupid decisions, and how all the signs around them point to the end of the world. Now, at the end of this story, we fast forward to 1989, where this tavern is no longer just a tavern. It's also a coffee shop. And as Hob and Dream are getting ready to meet once again, around them are conversations that people are having. Conversations about how morals are declining. How the politicians are all doing really stupid things. And how all the signs point to the world coming to an end very soon. It's interesting to me how these same conversations are going on. That everything is going bad, that the end is coming soon. It happens all the way back in Chaucer's time, and they happen all the way up to the 20th century even. And it's a good reminder for us to hear this, especially as we get into our own readings today. Because the majority of our readings have to do with that very same thing that all these people were talking about. The world coming to an end. And I think it's very easy, perhaps in all times, to look at everything going around and think that the world's coming to an end. And it's something that many of us can sympathize with. Because in these last 2 years, if not longer, it certainly has seemed that that's the way things are going. That the end of the world is coming soon. And in hearing about this, and hearing about the world coming to an end, in realizing the uncertainty that life presents us, one of our hope in this time is again that these conversations have been going on for a long time, not just in fiction, but we see these conversations with Jesus' disciples too. And yet the world has continued to move forward. But we have further hope in what we hear in our readings as well. In the Old Testament, in our reading from the book of the prophet Daniel, as well as in our song, we see the hope that God will be present with us, no matter what trials we might have to face. And our further hope comes from the letter to the Hebrews, that God will remember our sin no more. That we have that hope that we can move beyond our own past. Our hope that we can also move on to that life eternal. That life built upon our relationship, our coming closer, our being in unity with our Lord. No matter what befalls us, no matter what it seems like is going around us in this world, this is the hope that we have. The hope that this life, this world, will not be the end. The hope that we will be restored to our Lord. The hope that we will have that new life. A new life better than we can even imagine than this one. That new life that we celebrated last week with All Saints' Day and with our baptism. This is the hope that we have. But we should also not forget what Hebrews further tells us, that even in the midst of our trials, even in the midst of the world come crashing down around us, that we aren't called to despair. We aren't called to just simply give up. We're not called to panic. But we're called to continue to do the work that God has given us to do. And we're called to do that work all the much more, as in the words of Hebrews, as the day approaches. That final day. So really, even as it seems everything's going wrong around us, that's just a call for us all the more to be fervent in our work for God. It can be a hard thing looking at the world around us and thinking that things are coming to an end. But the good news is that we are called to have hope, and we have reason for hope. Hope that God is there with us in those trials. And hope in the forgiveness that God has offered us. That forgiveness and hope of uniting us to Him, of bringing us deeper and deeper into relationship with our Lord. And most of all, we're called to continue the work of God. Continue to give that message of hope, to spread that good news, to bring us all closer to God. We are called to share that news with all those around us. And we're called to hold each other up as we continue to do that work, as we continue to do that ministry in this world.